Hello, everyone. Good evening. We welcome all those who have tuned in this evening for the official launch of Happening Multicultural Festival 2021. I'm here with excitement and gratitude, welcoming everybody who is tuning in right now and anybody watching this recording after. Of course, I want to mention that this is the first and only cultural festival carried out by community artists with migration and refugee experiences for artists and our communities. Again, welcome everybody into the space. This is our official launch, and I'm here with gratitude and I'm here with excitement. A reminder to leave any comments or questions in the chat for us, and we can get to those later on into the event. I want to start off, of course, by land acknowledgement. I welcome everybody to sit and reflect as I read out these words. We recognize that we live and work on traditional Indigenous territories. I also wish to acknowledge that I am currently located on the traditional Indigenous territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit. I also wish to express my gratitude to Mother Earth for the resources we are using, and I would like to honor all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people who have been living on this land since time immemorial. Thank you so much, everybody. And on behalf of MUSE Arts, I want to acknowledge the support that we have received from you, anybody watching, all the media, all the community throughout the past 5 years that Happening has been presented. The constant community engagement is something that we value deeply and has allowed us to grow as an organization. We are built on a foundation of dreamers and visionaries, but honestly, all these visions wouldn't come true with all the support from you, from all the likes to the shares to the comments and to tuning in to our live stream events. Today, we are joined by Paola Gomez, the co-founder of MUSE Arts, the co-director of Happening, and the project director of our organization. We are also joined by Nikita, which is an artistic representation of what Happening is. So we welcome all of you into this space. I want to start by giving the space to Paola to tell us a little bit about what Happening is, the history behind it, and what brings us to our 5th version of this festival.
Veronica, thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you for your energy. And thank you to every single member of the MUSE Arts team. As I had said earlier in our Spanish version, this is a small, but definitely a mighty team. A group of dreamers, of risk takers that just as Alex and I, when we dreamed about this project 8 years ago, we decided that, and we were determined to have our dreams, particularly our artistic dreams, come to life. So we are extremely happy that we had found in our journey individuals, artists, creators, doers, dreamers, just like every single one of the wonderful people that are part of MUSE Arts and part of the Happening Festival family. To your question of what Happening is, well, Happening is for us a community of artists, creators that take a space during the month of May to celebrate each other, to recognize the talent, the skill, to recognize our humanity. We are artists in different art forms that have immigration and relocation experience, either by choice or forced migration in the case of refugees. And Happening was born as a need to create a platform. As you said before, the only community arts festival created entirely, produced entirely by artists with migration and refugee experience. This for us is a statement. And the statement is that as those who arrive to these communities, we come with talents, skills, dreams and hopes, and that we are at moments receivers of services, but we are also givers, contributors. We are culture makers, and we are part of the communities. So we need to break that gap that put us as the others, and put communities as if we needed to go to the community to take from it, when what we believe is that we also contribute to it. So we are full of pride for the work that we have done, particularly because through Happening Multicultural, we have actually created spaces and bridges among cultures, and artists have come together, have worked together, and have created even more wonderful things together. Because when we talk about unity, we don't talk about unity from the perspective of we all have to be alike. We think of unity as our ability to still love each other, care for each other, lift each other up, even if we think different, and celebrating those differences that make us more excited and more curious. So Happening in all that context is a space of creation, of celebration, and a space of pride. And I hope that kind of gives a little bit of a context of what is happening to me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paola, for bringing your energy and enthusiasm to us, radiating from your screen. Of course, since I want to acknowledge that this is the second version virtually of this festival. And I know with everybody working from home, we know how much work is put into virtual events, engagements, and I want to acknowledge all the work that has been put through the team this year. So thank you so much for your explanation of what Happening is to you. And I want to kind of bring that same question to Nitika. What is happening to you, and what has been your experience with Happening?
Yeah, sure. Happening to me is very special. This festival is extremely special. I got in touch with Paola, I think it was 2019 when I first got involved with the festival. And I congratulate Paola because, you know, the vision that this festival has and the mission that the organization carries is extremely important, valuable, and relevant at this time. We need platforms where, you know, as Paola said, platforms where we are acknowledging that we are coming from different backgrounds, coming from different cultures, into a melting pot of a beautiful city called Toronto. And, you know, we should be able to have more platforms like MUSE Arts, where artists from all these different cultural backgrounds have the freedom, have the space to express their emotions and express whatever that they're going through their art form, and not be forced to look like something else, or, you know, not be forced to be the same as the mainstream, maybe, you know. So I think it's such a valuable platform that completely resonates with me and what I want to do with my artistic practice and in general for the sector. And that kind of stayed on really, really well for me. I knew I wanted to not leave this organization. I knew I was going to come back and support them, and because they've been instrumental in my career growth as well. You know, simple things like how much they are doing in terms of creating marketing packages for their artists that they're presenting, you know. As I said, these may sound like small things, but they're so important for, you know, artists, especially those who come from underrepresented groups. Artists who come from, you know, more culturally specific dance forms. You know, it's difficult for them to make their mark in the mainstream dance scene in Toronto, or arts in general. I speak about dance because I'm a dance artist. But yeah, and I think that's one reason why I have stayed on to and sticked my way through MUSE Arts and Paola, and wonderful people to work with as well. And since then, I think there was no looking back. In 2020, as we were also discussing, things were all over the place. Situations around were so volatile. None of us knew how to adapt so quickly to digital platforms. But again, there was that dedication, from Paola's side first, when you see such beautiful energy of dedication and commitment coming from that side that says, come what may, come pandemic, we're still going to do this. We're still going to do this for our artists, for our community. And that was so special again. And there was no way I could have been like, no, or, there's just no, I think this is a lifelong relationship that I've established. And materially also, as I said, that name in my profile that I've worked with MUSE Arts for so many years, and I continue to work, is so special and adds so much value to my really my profile as a dance artist, and I'm very grateful.
Nitika, thank you so much for all those words. Everything has been well said. You brought to life everything that happening is, and from your perspective and from Paola's perspective, it's so clear that happening is so important to everybody involved, for the community, from the artist, from the team producing it. So thank you so much for bringing that to light. I want to kind of talk about now what the vision is for this festival, as we are doing the 2021 version. So Paola, the space is yours.
Thank you again, Veronica, and thank you, Nitika, for those words. Definitely, the appreciation and the care is reciprocal. We definitely believe not only that you are an extremely skillful artist, but also that you're such a valuable member of our communities. Because, as I had said it before, we have these dreams, and we have this energy, and we have this love. Literally, what I feel when I do this work, I feel pure love and joy for what we do. And I feel extremely proud. But I know that this wouldn't be possible if we didn't have the support at this moment. And I was sharing this with Natalia. In these 5 versions, we have had 250 artists, where we had worked like very closely. Like we take pictures. We start working in December, taking pictures. That changed for this year, but something that was possible for us in 2020 was the fact that by February we had made 50 photo shoots of groups. So we had so much materials, and we were so happy that we have all this work that we also can give to the artists, because as Nitika had said, these are elements that are important. You need to have a good picture. You need to have a good portrait. You need to have access to good professional development tools to be able to boost your career in any way that is possible. And we are determined that happening as a platform is here for that. But as I have said, I don't see it as a platform. I see it as a community that will lift each other up. For me, this is a space where we grow together. If Nitika is successful in her work, in her presentation, for all of us, it's a success, because it's one more artist that will be in the spotlight, celebrated and recognized. And for each one of us, we all are being inspired and proud. And that's extremely valuable. And this is taking me to this year's theme. And for that, we have chosen collective voice. As you know, community building and peace building are at the core of MUSE Arts and happening. But we decided to talk about mental health, wellness, and collective voice in the context of what our reality is. We know that we need to start a healing process. We know that it is crucial that we recognize that changes need to be made. The revolution is about to start. And that revolution will start through arts. When we are no crying for the mainstream to come to us, but that we find pride in what we do, and we have time to recognize each other. With that is revolutionary. And that will support a healing process that is from the perspective of the injustice and the imbalance that we see and that is just in front of us every single day. But also the changes in the revolution that needs to happen as we need to take care of the natural resources. And the revolution that will have to happen as we recognize that arts will be a tool and a strategy to be able to bring communities together in a unity that, as I said before, is not hoping for people to think alike, but for people to be able to coexist and to build community, celebrating each other. So happening brings all that, and that's why we have a full month of activities. As you see, I have a very active mind, and I needed to make sure that all these things that the entire dream were dreaming, we were able to put it there, because every single topic, every single artist requires a space and is relevant.
Amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you have said and for bringing up the theme of this year, which is collective voice. And that is to show how much this theme is needed this year, of course, with the pandemic and the challenging times. If we have to enter these processes of collective transformation, healing, and it's a topic that's going to be talked about a lot in our festival. I love that our festival is run with so many artists. We are featuring about 80 artists this year and 30 events going from May 4th to May 30th. We're doing the whole month this year. And it's amazing that we get to spotlight each artist and talk about this collective voice. So I want to, again, kind of talk about what are we going to be seeing this year? What events, what panels, what conversations are we going to have to get everybody excited and motivated to register? And of course, check all of our social media.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are holding a space for very, very important conversations. The first conversation that actually opens the festival is our series of holistic wellness. Opens the conversation in the festival, and will be run every week. We are having a conversation with artists and art practitioners in the theme of how to use art for healing, but also how to use arts for well-being, both for the individual, as we recognize the personal, the interpersonal, the societal, in the environmental. So we explore that concept. We are also exploring a very important concept of uprooting, relocation, public art, what is called vandalism. You know, who gets to determine what is the narrative? Who gets to determine what is the collective voice? Because many of the voices that are presented as the principal voice are erasing other voices, voices of communities that are underserved or not properly served. So we are also exploring very important themes of supporting youth in making careers in the arts. And so I love that panel, because we are exploring this concept with parents of young artists, and we call it Takes a Village. As a matter of fact, we always hear that it takes a village to raise a child. And I do believe that it takes a village to pamper an artist, to let them follow their dreams. So we are a village. Happening is a village. And so we believe that we need to create a space for younger artists to dream and to dream of themselves in the creative industry, in the arts, not as a hobby, but as a livable future. And we are determined to have that conversation as well. Very important, and this is something that I want to emphasize to our friends that are connecting on Facebook, and is that we're bringing the Canada Council for the Arts, and this is extremely important. I want to emphasize on that. They are coming on May 12th for a 1 hour workshop where they are going to talk about the opportunities for funding that are coming up since there is, the investment of additional resources to the arts industry. We are going to be focusing on artists that are newcomers or are emerging, or are artists that have no access resources in the past. And we're also going to be talking about digital work, which is something that is very important. And we still feel that as community engaged artists, we need to have those conversations. Equally important, we're also having a very crucial conversation on funding and collaboration with Factor, the Foundation for Canadian Recording Artists, for Canadian in the recording industry. Very important for musicians to be part of that conversation, because once again, we need to bring our work into those platforms. The music, the multicultural music needs to be more in the mainstream. And for that, we need to be able to be face to face with the funders to express our voice. And so we are having those spaces. As always, in the festival, we have a space for professional development. This is also very important. If an artist is interested in community engaged arts, we are bringing a one-day training at the Pay What You Can concept, which is what we do. Either we do it free or we do it at very tiny cost. In this case, we are bringing Partners for Youth Empowerment for a 6 or 7 hour training on Saturday, May 22nd, on the topic of creative facilitation online. Very important topic, because we want to learn how to do this. And we are actually asking people to pay what they can, but we are asking that they pay $20, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because we also want to equip the artists with the vulnerable sector check. So those $20 that they will pay, it will be to support them to actually pay the fee for the vulnerable sector check, which is a police check that community engaged artists require to be able to work in vulnerable communities or vulnerable spaces. And so we want to make sure that we create a space to boost artist careers, from the platform, but also making decisions, radical decisions of how we create a space for learning. In that same sense, we have a lot of panels going on. We have workshops on poetry, creative writing. As you know, there is a lot of interest in creative writing and photography in MUSE Arts, and we have several programs that run most of the year. So we bring that into the space, and many programs for kids. So it is a full month. So for folks, better go and check that website for all that information.
Yes, it was amazing to hear everything that is planned. And I want everybody to know, anybody tuned in or anybody watching this live after, to really take the opportunity of all that is being given to the community through this festival. Let it be the showcasing of your art, let it be the facilitation of training, let it be any event. Please take the opportunity to come and join us and learn about more like art and all that we have to give. I also want to ask Nikita a little bit about what we're going to be seeing from you this year. What is your participation in happening this year?
For sure. I am very excited to be presenting a small piece, which is titled Page Number 269. And this piece was created amidst the pandemic last year as part of a residency that I was doing with another organization called Theater Oculus. And I had, beautiful music composer called Adrian Shepard-Gowinski worked with me on the score of it, and we worked together throughout the month of August to kind of choreograph and do the entire, sketchboarding or storyboarding of this piece. This piece is also inspired by a TED Talk, which is a TED Talk by a Nigerian author called Chimamanda. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that TED Talk, but I would really encourage folks to go have a look at that talk first and then come into and watch this choreography as well, because it talks about the dangers of single story. Basically, when people or cultures or communities are underrepresented, what kind of stereotypes and other barriers that they go through. So I really thought that it was in alignment with the festival's vision as well, and it's again a very valuable, important topic that needs to be talked about and kind of adds a lot of context to the art that is being produced by underrepresented voices in Toronto. So it's inspired by that TED Talk. It's beautifully done. It has some Western fusion music as well, and obviously my movement practice is based in Kathak, which is a traditional classical North Indian dance form. So you'll see a mix of two beautiful words, I think. And yeah, it's a fully recorded piece already, and it'll be showcased on one of the nights of the happening Multicultural Festival, which I'm sure Paula has more information on when and how. And yeah, I look forward to everyone giving this piece a chance.
Amazing. I am so excited to see this, and I'm sure anybody watching is so excited to see this as well. It sounds like an amazing piece, and of course it is going to be showcased with all the love and the gratitude we have for all of our artists that are participating this year. I think it's important to acknowledge all the accomplishments that have come through this festival. So I want to ask Paola, what has been the best accomplishment you feel so far that happening has brought to you and to the community?
Well, I think for me personally, the biggest accomplishment is this immense sense of community I see happening. And when I think of happening, I actually, and you see that I do this, like it's a kind of a circle, because I see like in my mind immediately all the artists, and it's like all these faces and all these like movement, pretty similar to like the poster where everybody's like kind of like dancing in illustration. It's like I'm seeing everybody, because I am so fortunate that I had worked with every single person from the moment of the call for submissions and their submissions, to going and seeing and witnessing their work when in the photo shooting, to supporting the logistics, to sending 10 emails because they don't reply, everything. Like I have this whole experience with all these beautiful people that I actually got to love their humanity. And so I feel extremely proud of this sense of community. Like I feel very driven to this group, and like I feel I want to hug everybody. So this is for me far the most exciting part. Of course, there are other things that are important and that make it possible for us to be able to be very upfront with the artists. Like, okay, we're gonna pay you rates that are very competitive to bigger festivals, to be honest with you, and way faster, because I'm determined to believe that to make sure that artists get access to the resources as soon as possible, recognizing once again the precarity that the arts and the artists as workers have to live with. Because again, in one hand, we're told consistently how important is the work that we do, but in the other hand, we are not taken seriously when it comes to our working conditions, right? So We have to work and navigate in those difficult spaces, but we are determined to create a different model. So in that context, something that has been important is the fact that we have been able to secure support from the Canada Council for the Arts, from Factor, that we have also been able to create a space to, and this is going to probably not sound the best I want it to sound, but our intention is not to go and beg any big organization to let us have their name in our festival. We are not looking for validation. We are this group of people, and it's a lot of people involved, that are proud of who we are. And of course, the doors are going to be open for those organizations that want to be part of this process, but it will need to be in our terms. And our terms are very clear. Artists of underrepresented communities will go first. And those are our conditions. And therefore, I feel really proud of being able to say that very openly, because for me, that is an act of revolution.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge that is an amazing accomplishment, not even talking about any physical or any financial accomplishment, just that sense of community itself is the biggest thing. So I want to redirect the question to Nitika. What has been your biggest accomplishment working with Happening?
My biggest accomplishment working with Happening, to be honest, that today I feel like I belong to this community and I've been accepted by Paula and MUSE Arts. That is my accomplishment. The relationship that I've built with them and with other artists, I think that is my accomplishment. The clarity that I have gained in the past couple of years working in the arts sector, not just as an artist, but also as an arts manager, and understanding the dynamics of how and what the barriers artists like me, who come from a very culturally specific, art form, understanding that barrier and then connecting my dots and seeing the value in the work that this organization is doing. And knowing that I've been a part of this, I've been supported by this, and hopefully in coming years, I want to also give it back to this community. And just that direction, I think, is my accomplishment. And I've absolutely also loved presenting time and again with MUSE Arts. So yeah, as I said, this year is even more special. The piece that is being presented this year is very special to my heart. And it's exactly in alignment with what Paula has been saying. She's championing this great cause. And I'm just so happy to hear that what I'm presenting this year has so much relevance to this, because this is an important, valuable conversation. So the space is important. And yeah, the fact that I'm part of it, I feel grateful and blessed. So it's hard for me to pick one accomplishment, I guess. I could not pick one. There's so many things.
Of course. And they're all so valid, and we're filled with gratitude to have you in this space today and in Happening in general. Thank you so much for being here. I kind of want to leave the question section just by one more. And I think this is a very important one. And I want both of you to kind of reflect on this question and think about it. But what does it mean to be an immigrant, newcomer, or refugee, and to be surrounded and celebrate the same people with the same background?
You want me to start with Paula?
Sure, go for it.
I was a new immigrant when I moved to Canada. I was about 18 years old. For me, the process was personally, it was going hand in hand. It was very parallel in finding myself. And for an 18-year-old who has moved to a new country, there's obviously culture shock. There's this constant dilemma and a question mark of where do I belong? And if that is left unanswered, it can have serious damages and consequences to someone's mental health, psychological situation, and that kind of also then reflects to our socioeconomic well-being, right? So for me, I think the kind of support that new immigrant artists need is also that, that support of your community or some kind of psychological support where especially in that young age, to understand where do I belong? What is my word? Who am I? And accepting who am I, what my background is, and then championing it further, which is why I think this cause is also so special to me, because I've also spent many years in this dilemma that, oh, but I'm not doing something what most of the other people are doing. I look different. I wear different costume. My dance is not the same as what is happening in, other organizations maybe. And there's this constant conflict. And if that's not resolved, as I said, it can be very, very damaging. And things like these need to be answered. These are very complex issues, that needs to be handled very sensitively in our artist communities. And that support is needed for the new immigrant artists. So I think if I reflect back and look at my journey after having spent so many years in Canada and how I was in the beginning, I think, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway, that I am so thankful that I came to a point where I was like, you know what, but this is me. This is how I look. This is my culture. And I've come here and I will stand up for myself and I will make my own mark. As Paula was saying, we're not going to wait for mainstream to accept us or whatnot. Take charge. We can do it together as well. And that's my biggest reflection. And, if there's even one person out there looking at this video and is probably going through something like that, I just want to tell them, have faith. And the best way is to go inward and accept yourself first, and everything else will be so much more clearer and peaceful.
Mm-hmm. Nitika, thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Nitika, as you see, Veronica and I have like facilitator complex here. We both reply at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, thank you for that. Honestly, thank you for that, because you express it so well, and I can relate to everything that you have said. I can live it, like I can feel it. And for me, these are works of radical generosity. Many of you have already heard me talk about what I feel and believe radical generosity is, as an action of sharing what you have. Not because you have more, but because you will be okay even if you have a bit less. So what I feel with this is that we are creating this sense of pride of who we are, with, in my case, with this strong accent. I love the fact that I have a strong accent, and I encourage people to take risk. You have a strong accent, you need to learn new words, etc., etc. Take the risk. You are not alone. You will be supported by this community of makers, dreamers, and people that are not going to judge you, because we are here in the business of lifting each other up, recognizing that each one of us holds a story that is way different from probably the personal one that I am holding, but that we have in common, our commonality is that experience of relocation that requires that we stand together for change, but also together to recognize and to celebrate each other, because those little victories are also important. And those are the fuel that are going to keep us going in moments of uncertainty. And we already know that, because we didn't know we were going to be going to a global pandemic. And we are here, and we're going to become out of this more resilient, but we also need to come out of this change. And the change will be in the way in which we understand solidarity. So I think that fills me with so much joy and pride. I feel so much pride of all my fellow artists and community workers that have experience of migration in displacement, because I know that they too have made it and they too will make it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for those words. And I kind of want to bring to light that without knowing it, you both just described what happening is and the whole message of happening, just in your experience and just in your words. That is what happening means. So thank you so much for that. I want to give a big thanks for both of you for joining us today. And I want to, since it is our launch of Happening, I want to, of course, welcome everybody to check out our website at musearts.ca. We have created a whole new section only for Happening 2021, where you'll find the calendars, you'll find the rundown of each event that's going to be happening every day. It's very organized, very clear for everybody. Understand, and of course, take that some events require registration. Spots are filling up soon, so please go ahead and register in any event that you want to take part in. Thank you so much for joining us today and for being part of Happening. It's going to be an amazing month. We're going to have so much fun, and we cannot wait to see you there. I want to close off this event with a video Happening Multicultural 2021. Thank you. Thank you. Happening Multicultural Festival, Toronto's first and only festival made by community artists, is back. This 5th iteration includes over 80 artists and features music, visual arts, dance, poetry, performances, panels, and workshops, all throughout May 4th to May 30th, 2021. You can find more information at musearts.ca or follow us on Facebook and Instagram at MuseArtsTO.